Hello sir, this is Zubair Ahmad and I am dealing with the topic solutions to the common parallel programming using multiple threads. So this is the index uh, whichever I am dealing with, too many threads, data races, deadlocks and alive logs, and the next one is heavily contained logs, and the next one is solutions for heavily contained logs. First I discuss what is too many threads or what happens if you use too many threads. It may seem that if a little threading is good, lot must be better. But having too many threads can seriously degrade the program performance. The impact comes in two ways. The first one is when you partition the workload or work among the threads, then each thread will get a little amount of work. And the second one is that there is a fixed hardware resource to share by too many threads. It means that there are so many threads and resource is a fixed one, which is again a overhead. The next one is when a software threads are more than hardware threads, then the operating system follows a round-robin scheduling. The scheduler gives each software thread a short turn called time slice to run on a hardware thread. When the time slice of a software thread is over, then the scheduler preemptively suspend the running thread and gives a time slice to another software thread to run. This means that the suspended software thread is freezed until it got the next turn. The most obvious overhead is the process of saving and restoring the state of register during thread switching. Whenever we do thread switching, there is an overhead of and restoring the state of registers. The other overhead are fighting for the cache memory and fights over the virtual memory. A more severe problem arises called conveying. What is conveying? In which software piles up waiting to acquire a lock. Consider an example. What happens if thread time slice expires? When thread is holding a lock, in this case all thread must wait for holding thread to wake up and release the lock. The problem is more worse if the lock implementation is fair. That is, if we use first come first serve, then to wake up a lock which is holding to wake up the thread which is holding the lock, and until it releases it, no one everyone is blocked. So that is a problem. So there are many solutions given for many threads. So first solution is we can limit the number of threads to the runnable threads to the hardware threads and possibly limit it to the number of outer level cache. For example, if you take an example, in the Intel dual core processor has two physical cores with its hyper threading technology and each with its own cache. The next solution is to separate the compute threads from the input-output threads. Compute threads should be threads that are runnable most of the time. Ideally, the compute threads never block external events. The input-output threads that wait on external events most of the time. So there are common useful practices to have a solution for too many threads. we can use OpenMP. Building an efficient task queues takes some expertise. It is best to use existing software to this. Let OpenMP do the work. OpenMP let the programmer to specify loop iteration instead of threads. OpenMP deals with managing the threads. The next one is use of thread pools. A thread pool is a collection of tasks which are serviced by the software threads in the pool. Each software thread in the pool finishes a task before it takes another task. The third is having a own task scheduler. The method of choice is called work stealing. A work stealing is one where each thread has its own private collection of tasks. When a thread runs out of tasks, it steals from another thread collection. So the next concept is data races, deadlocks and live locks. So when data races occurs, usually data races occurs when unsynchronized access to the shared memory can introduce race condition. Usually an unsynchronized access to the shared memory can introduce race conditions where the program results depends non-deterministically on a relative things of two or more threads. Sometimes race conditions are intended and they are useful. For example, thread may be reading a location that is updated asynchronously with the latest current value. Race condition may also be occurred due to synchronized access, where the synchronization is at very low level. If the synchronization is at the very low level, then the race condition may be occurred. So see here how we are showing the races among unsynchronized threads. So this is a race condition hiding behind language syntax. So deadlocks. What is a deadlock? So let us explain this by taking an example. When deadlock occurs, a deadlock occurs when if thread 1 acquires a lock called A and requesting to another lock called B that is acquired by the thread 2. Similarly, a deadlock occurs when a thread is acquiring a lock B and wants to acquire lock A which is acquired by the thread 1. This is the scenario where two threads are there. One is holding and requesting for the another, and the second thread is holding one resource and that is requesting for another. So that causes deadlock. So here we discuss why deadlock occurs or what are the different conditions for deadlocks. When access to each resource is exclusive, that is, if the resource is exclusive, deadlock occurs. The second one is a thread is allowed to hold one resource while requesting another. The third one is no thread is willing to relinquish a resource that it has acquired. And the fourth one is there is a cycle of threads trying to acquire resources where each resource is held by one thread and requested by another thread. So these are the conditions when deadlock occurs. To avoid the deadlocks, one can break any one of the above conditions as so far we discussed. If we break any one of them, we can avoid deadlocks. So the next one is the best way to avoid a deadlock is to replicate a resource that requires exclusive accesses. It means that the resources which requires exclusive access can be replicated so that each thread can have its own copy. Then each thread can access its own copy without needing any lock. If replication is not possible, that is, if it is not possible to replicate a resource, that is in a situation where there really must be a single copy of resource. It means that if there is if it requires a only single copy of resource, and when we cannot replicate, then it is better to acquire a lock in same order which prevents the deadlock. Means acquisition of lock is in order, that prevents our deadlock. If there is no obvious ordering of lock, a solution is to sort the locks by address. By sorting the address, we can avoid deadlocks. And another way of preventing a deadlock is for a thread to give up its claim on a resource if it cannot acquire the other resource. That is, we have to we make the thread to give up its claim of a resource. The next topic is heavily contended locks. Proper use of locks to avoid race condition can invite performance problem if the lock becomes heavily contended. That is, performance degradation happens when there is a proper use of locks. For example, it is like an example on a toll gate on a highway. If the cars will queue up in a traffic proper use of lock to avoid race condition can invite performance problem if the lock becomes heavily contended. The lock becomes like a toll gate on a highway. If cars arrive at the toll gate faster than the toll taker can process them, the cars will queue up in a traffic jam behind the toll gate. Similarly, if threads try to acquire a lock faster than the rate at which a thread can execute the corresponding critical section, then the program performance will suffer as a thread will form a convoy waiting to acquire the lock. This behavior sometimes referred to as conveying. So here it is a priority inversion. What is a priority inversion? Whenever a low priority thread acquiring a resource that a priority threads needs and then being preempted by the medium threading. For example, when a low priority thread is acquiring a low priority thread acquiring a resource that a priority thread needs and then being preempted by medium priority threads. So the high priority thread is blocked on a resource while medium priority one finishes. This was occurred on the NASA Mars Pathfinder mission. The next one is priority inheritance, which solves the problem which was occurred in NASA Mars Finder mission. So what is priority inheritance? When a high priority thread needs to acquire a lock held by the low priority thread, then the scheduler bumps the priority thread until the lock is released. Here we can have an example of three cars. The first car is having a low priority software thread and the second card is a high priority software thread. See how here the first card, that is low priority software thread, is blocking the high priority software thread, and here the medium priority software thread, that is third card, is coming and using the resources. To avoid this condition, we have a priority inversion, that is we bumped up the priority of the first card, that is having a low priority software, that is it will be go out of the way and it makes way to the high priority software. By bumping up, we can solve this problem. The next one is priority ceiling. A priority called ceiling is assigned to the mutex. The ceiling is the highest priority of any thread that is expected to hold the mutex. When a thread acquires a mutex, its priority is immediately bumped up to the ceiling values for the duration that it holds the mutex. Now here are the solutions for heavily contended locks. We can solve this by eliminating a lock by replacing the resources. For example, consider contention for a counter of events. If each thread can have its own private counter, then no lock is necessary. If total count is required, the count can be summed after all threads are done counting. The next one is by partitioning the resources. If the locks on a resource cannot be eliminated, we can consider partitioning the resources and using a separate lock to protect each partition. The partitioning can spread out contention among the locks. So here is the another solution. We can create array of subtables where each subtable has own lock. Key can be mapped to the subtables via a hashing function. This shows how we are creating a subtables and how we are using a key. The last one is hash table with fine grain locking. Fine grain locking, hash tables are commonly implemented as an array of buckets, where each bucket holds keys that hash to the some array element. So by this we can solve the problem. If a data structure is frequently read but infrequently written, a reader-write lock distinguishes readers from the writers. Multiple readers can acquire the lock at the same time, but only one writer can acquire it at a time. So by using reader-writer, we can solve this problem. Thank you.